Hello, Mr. Clark here. Welcome to World Cultures. I'm going to take you through some of the different activities, the subject matter, expectations, grading system, and a wide variety of other things in regard to the ninth grade World Cultures program. I'm not going to read through every word on the document that I'm sharing out with you, only because it is posted on my teacher webpage and in Google Classroom, so you can kind of go through this at any point in time that you wish. It's kind of like the handbook, more or less, for the course, and it's something that you may have to reference for different assignments along the way. So basically, the World Cultures class is an introductory course on world history. It's kind of a global approach towards history. It's going to start out in the period of time of the Middle Ages and take you right into contemporary times. There's several standards that are emphasized throughout the course, and again, I'm not going to read through each of them in much detail. Just social studies skills, civics, economics, geography will all be emphasized throughout the course. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to start out in the Middle Ages, just a quick review over the course of the first couple days of class to kind of get a frame of reference before we kind of move forward into the Renaissance, because the Renaissance in many ways is kind of the rebirth of culture, and you're kind of moving out of the Middle Ages or Dark Ages into more contemporary times. We'll look at new global connections, the age of exploration. We'll look at absolutism and kind of the monarchies that are ruling throughout much of Europe at the time. We'll look at a wide variety of different revolutions, including the French Revolution. We'll look at the Industrial Revolution and kind of see how society changes from new technologies and new ideas that are going to emerge during the 17 and 1800s into the 20th century. We'll look at nationalistic movements because often we reflect back on history and kind of forget that a lot of our major nations today were kind of fragmented into city-states at one point in time. And during the 1800s, we'll see, for example, the unification of Italy and Germany around 1870. We'll look at the age of imperialism as countries became very aggressive during the 17 and 1800s, going into faraway territories. We'll look at both World War One and World War Two, as well as the period of time between the wars, which would include the rise of Nazism and fascism, Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin in the new Soviet Union, and how the Russian Revolution led to a communist state in Russia. We'll look at World War II, the post-World War II era, the Cold War era. We'll look at how new nations emerged and the world from a contemporary perspective. Methodology, this is the different activities and ways in which we'll approach history in class. There'll be readings from the textbook and outside sources. I recorded a series of lessons that'll give you some opportunities to kind of go into more detail on a wide variety of topics, kind of give you a lot of the meat and potatoes, the basic concepts and ideas that you can kind of take yourself through that. We'll do discussions based on readings, and we'll look at primary sources, write some document-based essays, evidence-based writing, a lot of things that'll look at these actual documents in history and give you the opportunity to independently reflect, come up with your own ideas. We'll use multimedia materials when appropriate. We have current events on a regular basis, and I'll discuss that in a little bit more detail as we move forward. And Google Classroom will be kind of the home base for where all our activities will be based out of. Instructional objectives, obviously, to stimulate additional interest in European history, encourage interest in history in general. And again, I'm not going to read through all these different things here. You can kind of hit on these bullet points on your own. Academic expectations, you should complete all assigned readings and assignments. You'll view all my recorded lessons, answer all focus questions. You'll write short expository essays. You'll be able to sustain class discussions based on a wide variety of different topics. You'll pass quizzes, tests, and the final exam. And kind of an important thing to understand that your Chromebook is basically needed every day and needs to be charged coming into class. And there will be no opportunities to charge Chromebooks in class. If you have an issue with your technologies, giving you a problem, the library has loaner Chromebooks that you can borrow. So really, you have to come in and be prepared to use the Chromebook on a daily basis. Text and materials, you have a world history book that's online, and I also have PDF files for it, so you can access that in a couple different ways online. We have a wide variety of teacher-made materials, the recorded lessons I had mentioned. I'm not going to take you to the textbook here, but you can try at any point in time to access the textbook online. There's a link there. It's also posted in Google Classroom. You use this generic password to get to the online textbook. One of the more important things to understand in any course, and including this course, is how you're going to be evaluated. The grading system is basically consists of tests, quizzes, and homework classwork. And it's on a point basis. So all assignments will be on a grade of up to a 100, but the point value of each will be valued a little bit differently. So it's on a 100 point scale. But for example, a test grade will usually be 300 to 500 points. So it'll go into the Genesis system. You'll see the notation in Genesis at a 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 status. So a project or a chapter test might be upwards of a 500 point assignment. And then there's a variety of different quiz grades. You have your traditional quizzes, which might be weighted 2.5 times or 250 points. You might have a current event, which will be maybe 200 points. A group assignment or document-based essay would probably be somewhere in that 200 to 250 point range. And then any film quiz we have would most likely be a 100 point range. Something else you could probably add in there too is kind of a classwork assignment would be a do now. So any do now that we do in class, that'll probably be at a half point basis. So basically it'll be worth 50 points. So you'll get a 0.5 in there just because a do now is only maybe like a 5-minute assignment or so. So it will still be evaluated, and just about everything we do in class will be evaluated, whether it's a homework or classwork assignment. So everything you do has value and weight towards your final average. So if you have the goal of doing well in class and you do all your work, there really should be no reason why you won't do very well in this course. What I also do is I organize your homework on a homework calendar. Here's an example from September for the first chapter we're going to go through. So all your assignments are there ahead of time. So you're going to have the opportunity to pace yourself. The assignments will be posted in Google Classroom ahead of time. And therefore, let's say that you have a really busy week coming up, with, let's say, an extracurricular activity, sports, job, whatever it might be, and you want to get your history homework out of the way, you could always do your history homework, let's say, over the weekend and get, the majority of that work done, ahead of time. So kind of balance your own time there. All homework assignments are due at 7 a.m. So make sure as we kind of go into the class rules that you have your homework assignments in by 7 a.m. each day. That way I can check them in the morning. I'm usually in school by around 7 a.m. each day. I can get them checked in and evaluated prior to class, because a lot of times when we look at your homework, you may be going through your homework assignment in class. You want to make sure I have that checked in ahead of time. Again, if you fail to bring a charged Chromebook to class, you'll receive a 0 for your classwork assignment that day, and you may not charge your computer in class. It has to be done on your own time. Google Classroom, I don't see Google Classroom notifications, so any communication you make with me should be done via email. If you're absent and miss an assignment, send me a quick email just with the assignment number and let me know you made it up. And in class, be respectful, follow directions, no multitasking when in school, all non-world cultures material off the desk, only water is allowed in class, no other beverages or food in class, all cell phones, headphones, things like that are away at all times. And assignments submitted through Google Classroom are time stamped, so they're kind of cut and dry. Either it's in on time or it's not. So there's really not a lot of argument as to whether something's in on time or not. Current event program, we'll do current events on a regular basis every other week, usually on Fridays. It has to be a newsworthy topic. You'll write a 200-word summary. You'll follow the outline here with an introduction, kind of giving the background on the topic. Body is the main ideas of the article, why it was newsworthy. Conclusion is probably the most important aspect of a current event. Make sure you're restating the main points, explain why you chose it, why it was newsworthy, and most importantly, is there any bias from the article that you see from the author? You probably see in the news media all the time. There's a lot of slanted views, both on the left and the right, Democratic and Republican, liberal and conservative. So you kind of look for those type of things, especially when it's political in nature. Extra help. As I mentioned, I'm here every day. 7:10 to 8:30 in the morning before school, 2:50 to 3:50 after school in room 201. My email address is there. You can reach out at any point in time. And then one last thing, I have a virtual classroom that I kind of set up. So if you look here, you click on the link. And the virtual classroom is basically just kind of like a little Bitmoji classroom. All the different things you see there, your homework, your textbook link, course expectations, the login to the textbook, all that's there for you. And then over the course of the school year, you'll be going through a lot of the different recorded lessons. So there's links there for all those different recorded lessons based on the different chapters or topics we're going to go through. Hopefully you enjoyed our discussion here and you're looking forward to the course. And, again, this will be posted in Google Classroom. So if you have any questions about anything in class, you could always go back to this little recorded overview of our class.